This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Our goal with our videos is to empower you to be able to do the repairs on your own and save a whole lot of money and also get that great feeling of having fixed it by yourself. Today we have a Miele washing machine that won't drain, and it's pretty easy to fix, pretty common problem. We're going to unplug it, and then we're going to take off this ring. This is a little tool you can use to open that drawer down there. We're going to take off this ring with a standard head screwdriver. We're just going to pry it off, and we're going to then take the door boot off of the metal rim. Just kind of disconnect it because we have to take off this front panel to get in there. Do want to make sure you get all the water out first by undoing the coin trap on the lower left hand corner behind that little door. Just turn it counterclockwise and then let the water drain out. We're going to use a Torx 15 bit to remove these two screws, which is for the door lock. And these are just things that are holding on the front panel. We're going to use a standard head screwdriver to pry this plastic kick panel off of the bottom, and that's going to expose a couple of screws. They're Torx 15. On some models, there's two of them down on each corner. You want to remove the most outside one furthest to the outside of the machine. This model just has one screw in each corner. We'll remove those two. Here's another one. And then we have to remove a 10 millimeter bolt. Some of these are actually a Torx 30, I think, but this is just a 10 millimeter bolt on this model. Take that out, and we're going to lift up a little bit, pull back, and then we want to pull down to make the top two parts of the front panel release. You have to kind of wiggle, pull down. This is the new pump that we're going to put in. These pumps last a long time. This happened to be one that got exposed to a lot of sand, so it kind of ruined it a bit early. Here's the model number the part number for the pump. You can get it from Miele USA if you give them a call. Also, you can find these on eBay. So I'm going to reach in, I'm going to push up with my thumb to move this little plastic lever, and that's going to release it, and then I can turn the whole pump assembly to my left. I'm going to my right, but it should be to my left to make it let go. So I'm going counterclockwise. Now I'm removing the hose clamp that's holding the hose onto the pump assembly. You don't have to do this. I'm just going to get the whole pump out here to take a look. If you just have to replace the motor, you don't have to do this. You can just remove the motor and then twist in the new one. But I do want to get this pump assembly out to take a look at what's going on. Just make sure I rule out all the things that could cause it to not drain. Make sure there's nothing caught in this big black tube coming from the tub. Looks good, so I'm going to get it out of the way. And you can see now I pulled out the pump, got it loose. There is still the power wire connected to it, so I'm going to pull it out where I can see it a little bit better. And I'm going to pull out on these little catches and then pull the cover off. That's going to allow me to get the power connector off. I'll use a pair of pliers to kind of wiggle and pull up, get that off. Now I'm comparing the new one to the old one. I'm twisting it, and I can feel there's a difference. When I spin it, it feels like it catches and it releases, catches it and releases, which is normal. But it also feels like there's a rubber band connected to it. It's a strange feel. As compared to this new one, it's the resistance and no resistance, and that's normal, like a magnetic pull. I think the other one, something had come loose. I'm going to compare the resistance value and look for ohms of resistance at these two terminals where the power comes in. I got 5,600, almost 5,700 ohms on the new one. On the old one, I'm going to check it to see if the motor windings are okay, if that was an issue. And we're coming in at 5,500, so it's about the same, so that wouldn't be a problem. But I do think there was something mechanically wrong with that pump. I'm spinning out the coin trap now, making sure there's nothing caught in there. Reach in with my finger. So again, you can put that new pump on without having to remove this pump assembly. I'm just doing a little extra here to rule out all the things that could keep the Miele from draining. Feeling in the hole here to make sure that there's nothing caught. And now I'm removing this little tiny hose that's at the upper aspect of the drain housing, and it's what we call an air gap. It allows air to flow, which makes the water flow better. But if the tube is clogged, then the drain will not work. Even though the motor's active, it won't drain. So I'm going to blow through this hose. It should be really easy for air to go through. So there's no resistance. It feels like the air flows through there really good. If there was resistance, you have to find a way to clean out that hose, maybe with a extended coat hanger. Get all the junk that might be in there. But this one seems fine, so I don't think that was an issue. Looking inside this big tube that comes from the tub, I want to make sure there's nothing caught in there like a sock or some debris. Sometimes things get up into the pump housing and then they kind of fall back into this tube. But it looks good. So I'm going to undo this Torx 15 screw that's holding in the pump housing so I can get it out, take a better look. And I'm going to remove this hose clamp here in the back left corner of the housing. That's where the water leaves the pump and then goes out away from the washing machine. And get that off and just peer inside there and make sure I don't see that there's like a coin or a sock or something caught in there.
You don't have a little pan, do you, that I could let some water drain
I think in this particular case, the problem was that the pump had been damaged from some sand that had snuck in and caused a mechanical disconnection of the impeller. But I'm just making sure everything's good. These are just all things you can check when you have a Miele that won't drain.
Yeah.
So I'm making sure there's nothing caught in this bigger tube. I'm shaking it. Sometimes you'll have like some coins in there or some bobby pins.
They're really
Seems good.
They're so tough. They make them
This one looks good. This is the hose that's where the water leaves
even at the factory, you know,
the washing machine.
They'll say that to the technicians. Say, you know, we're targeting.
So here's the old housing. Here's the new pump. I'm going to push it in.
Maybe.
And then to tighten it, I'm going to turn to my right. I kind of like that idea of righty-tighty or clockwise. And to loosen it, we turn counterclockwise. It's the old righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. I'm going to put on the power connector, make sure it's fully seated.
Oh, shoot.
Put on this dust cover.
Yeah.
Go down to where it clicks into place.
I think we're getting better as appliance technicians, you know, when we
feed
go
these
to help
wires
people
back into the clips that hold
Bosch
them.
or Miele. There's a lot less repairers. I think they're pretty good.
Looks good in there, nice and clean.
Yeah, and a Bosch stove too. Yeah.
Trap cap back on.
Yeah,
nice and
that's
tight,
actually one of their
tighty.
best products. Is their they make a really good vacuum cleaner. One of the best. Yes, sir.
Now we're going to hook up that hose that is for how the water leaves the drain assembly. We're going to wiggle that back on, get it fully seated, and then use the pliers to depress the spring clamp and get that back on nice and tight. What you don't want to have is when you reassemble at the end of a drain repair, you don't want there to be a leak. So you have to make sure everything's on nice and tight before you do the final assembly. There we go, that one's on good. But this little one, this is where the air travels, for the air gap. It's just a physics principle. It allows for the water to flow better. I'm Got that on there, and then I'll put its little hose clamp on too. There we go. I'm going to put that little screw in there. It's that Torx 15. That's going to hold the pump assembly in position. And actually I'll put on this hose first. This is the big one going from the tub, bringing water to the drain. A lot of times you get things stuck in there. I'm going to line up that little piece at the top, and then I'm going to depress the spring clamp and get that on there nice and tight. It's really seldom do you have to replace these drain motors on the Miele. They're really good. Just going to tighten up that Torx 15 screw. Now I'm kind of massaging the aspect of the tube near the tub, because there's basically a big ping pong ball in there. You want to make sure that ping pong ball can move freely. These are some of the parts here on the Miele. This is where the heater is for the water and the temperature sensor. There's the pump. There's the door lock. That's a little air vent at the top. That's a light. And this is the pressure sensor. And down here we have the float that if water leaks in there, it turns on and it'll cut power to the inlet. It'll stop the cycle. So I'm just getting any water that's spilled out of there. I'm going to make sure I put these holes of the top panel so they line up with these plastic pins as I put the front panel back on. So that's how I'm going to start it. Push it up onto those pins, and then I'm going to use a fair amount of force and wiggle and really get it to get all the way up as far as it'll go. There we go. And add that 10 millimeter bolt back in. Get that nice and tight. I'm going to hold behind the door lock and add the Torx 15 screws back in to hold it. There we go. Make sure this little orange thing can move. That's an emergency door lock. If your door lock doesn't work, you can mechanically open it by pulling down on that. So now I'm going to feed the door boot back over the metal ridge using my thumbs. Make sure it's seated really well all the way around. There we are. Now we're going to lubricate the spring clamp. Some liquid detergent would be really good. Just got to get something slippery on there. Makes it a lot easier to put the spring clamp back on. I think this is some kind of a cleanser, but the slipperier the better. So liquid washing machine detergent is really good. I'm going to push it on. I'm going to pull down using my thumbs. I'm going to push down and separate, pushing out toward 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock, and then pushing down, getting the spring down at the 6 o'clock position at the very bottom. Got it. That's a little bit hard to do. You may actually want to get someone to help you with that one. So you have 4 hands, makes it easier. So I'm going to put in those two Torx 15 screws at the bottom of the front panel. That helps to hold it on. There we go. Push on that kick plate, that plastic kick plate, get it in position, and just kind of smack it with the heel of my hand to get it to stay in on each corner. There we go. Blowing through the drain hose here just to make sure that the air can move easily. Making sure that that drain hose is not clogged with something. Go ahead and put that all the way back into the standpipe in the wall. All right, we're going to fill it with some water and then see if it'll drain water now. We did numerous things to help it to drain. I think, though, the main problem this time was that the drain pump itself was defective. So let the water come in. And then when you press, on this model, we've pressed the stop button. It'll stop the cycle, but it'll also activate the drain system to drain out any water that might be in there. Pretty cool software design. So it seems good. I'm going to test it one more time. I'll fill it and then drain it. So I'm looking at the old one again. There's something weird about the impeller not being really connected well to the motor shaft. You can see it's full of water. Press stop, and you can hear the drains active, and it's getting rid of the water really fast. So that did work, and probably if that pump doesn't get exposed to more sand, it'll last another 15-20 years. Just want to show you guys where that little orange key goes that can help you open the coin trap door. It just sits right here, and it's part of this detergent dispenser assembly, and it just clicks in like that. So you pull it out. If you want to get to it, press in on that button, pull the whole thing out, and then you can lift this out, and then you can use it as kind of like a pry bar to be able to open that little door down there. Thanks so much for watching our video. We really appreciate your support. And when you get a chance, please press the subscribe button below so you can be subscribed, and also the notification bell so we can send you more videos about appliance repair. Please also give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. If you really liked the video and it really helped you, please press this new applaud button, and you can show your support and also get a nice clapping hands for your video. Thanks again.